Hello everyone, and welcome to another DIY tutorial with Iron Orchid Designs. I'm Natasha, here to guide you through this tutorial, and Olivia's on camera applying all of our flowers and making this beautiful project. We went ahead and thrifted this lamp from a local thrift store. Lamps are a wonderful thing to pick up. You can find so many of them. We really liked this aqua blue base. Of course, you can choose one. There's going to be so many different ones at the thrift store, so you might not find one of this color, but if you find one that isn't the right color, you can always paint it. So let's go ahead and get started here. We're cleaning up our lamp base. It's a nice ceramic, so we're using a wet wipe. Want to make sure that the surface is really clean and prepped for our Collage de Fleurs transfer. Now, if it's a little dirtier than ours was, you might need something heavier duty to get that real clean. You just want a really nice contact surface. And again, if you're painting, then you can prep that differently as well. So we're going to go ahead and cut up our transfer. I know this can be really scary, but you're going to need to do it. Cut it up. And this one, there are so many different flowers. It really is a free-flowing composition if you're working with Collage de Fleurs. I know that can be intimidating, but just cut them out and work with the composition before you apply it to get some things you're happy with. The strategy we used here was choosing some big blooms, which we're going to use as our anchors, and then we're going to fill that in with some of the smaller flowers. So we really liked this big striped red and white one, and these little pink flowers, and these big delicious roses. These are really just so giant and lovely. And just cut out some different little elements. You see there's lots of leaves, there's lots of things for filler. So don't be afraid. If you make a mistake, you can always fill in with something else. And you can see here, we're just kind of playing with our layout. You could tape this down if you wanted to, just tape one little corner, but we kind of planned it out first and then set it aside in a way that we could remember. And we're gonna, like I said, start with those big blossoms to really anchor our piece. So we're getting that nice yellowish white rose up in the corner and using our transfer applicator to transfer onto the surface. You're going to want to take your time on any of the edges that roll over. You can see this goes slightly over onto the side, so make sure you just get that front down really nice and good and then work around the edges. And if any piece of your transfer is not coming off, just use a little bit more elbow grease. It takes just a little bit of time, so put some music on and then you'll be able to tell if it's coming up right, because it's going to come up opaque and you're not going to have anything attached to it. And if a little piece does come up, just lay it right back down, use your transfer tool, and you'll be good to go. And we like to use the back side of our transfer paper to burnish the transfer on. What this does is just really ensure you have excellent contact with your surface. Sometimes with the transfer applicator, you don't even notice that a little edge might be up, especially on your sides or where it's curling over. So just take that, give a nice light rubbing to make sure you have great contact all over. Now we're going to go ahead and add our big red rose, again using our transfer applicator to get that down and going all over it and just checking little edges to see if it's coming up. And you just keep working, and now you can see that's coming up nicely. And oh, our little edge right there didn't come up, so we just put it back down, use the transfer applicator, and now that went off. And you're going to be able to pull this back in just a minute to reveal this big beautiful bloom. But this was a great example of how a little piece might come up. You just lay it back down and you'll be all good. And then just go ahead and burnish that one on there. Now we're going to add another big bloom on the bottom. You can see our composition is weighted a little bit to the right. So we're going to have a little bit of an asymmetrical balance on this. And we left the little rose bloom on the top one. And we're coming around the side here. The sides can be a little bit trickier, so you just want to take your time and just watch for when that sheet becomes clear and the transfer is dropped off. You can see even at the bottom here, you can maybe see it in the screen, just how the transfer isn't adhered yet, just kind of flopped off. So she's just going to go ahead and use her finger and add that around the bottom so you get a nice coverage there. And then she's using her fingernail to just clip that piece off. and then she pulled it off because you're not going to see that at the bottom. So now that is looking lovely. We've got our big grounding anchor flowers. Now we're going to come in and add our little flowers. You can see that the stems actually come from the bottom, so it looks like these are a bloom or a bouquet. So that just helps ground the composition so it doesn't feel like your flowers are just floating on this project, because if you didn't ground them at the base, they might feel a little bit unnatural, which could be the look you're going for, but this might just help you figure out compositionally how to make this look realistic. Would be to have things coming up like they naturally would from the ground or from a bouquet, because that's what your mind's eye is going to be expecting. Again, just grab that back side of the transfer paper and burnish. We had the wrong side, so it wasn't slipping. So just make sure you have the right side and you'll be able to tell if it's moving easily or not. Again, we're going to add some more of these darling purple flowers here, adding those right on top of the other transfer for some dimensionality, using our transfer tool to get in there and get those off. Sarah's helping off camera get some other flowers. So if you're lucky, you'll have an assistant like Sarah who helps set everything up for our projects and keeps all of our IOD stamps and transfers and everything organized, because we would not know what to do without her. And then you can see this flower actually didn't come off quite where we wanted. So she's just repositioning that, getting that down. So there's no mistakes. And even if one of your transfers rips and you can't get it down the way you like, you can always cover it up with another flower. So don't worry. There's lots of ways to fix this. You can see this composition starting to build up the right side. I'm going to add our little pink flowers in below, and those are looking nice. And we do have a little bit of white space in here, which is nice too. Got some nice breathability. Gonna add some more pink flowers. You can see we cut up all sorts of flowers for this project, so it's nice to have options. We decided we wanted to keep it pretty weighted and asymmetrical, so we're all done with the front. And now we're gonna add a polyacrylic water-based sealer. And since our surface of the ceramic is glossy, we're using a glossy finish. Choose the finish that's gonna make most sense for your project, and your local stockist is a great person to talk to for what works best, because there's many different options and it can be very confusing, but they'll be able to walk you through it and help you select the best one. You can buy any of your IOD products and paints and supporting supplies from your stockist by using our store locator on the Iron Orchid Designs website and using the Where to Buy button. Our lampshade was a little too bright white, so we wanted to just age that a little bit. So we made a chalk paint wash, just a little bit of chalk paint and some water, mix that up, and then just spritz on this. And that just helps this feel a little less sterile, a little more vintage. And we're just going to go all the way around, adding that mist until we're happy, and we've just got, a light brown color with a few little drips. So you can see we're going in with the lighter, just kind of overall color, but we had added some drips at the front. And now you have this beautiful thrifted lamp. It is so much better than when we got it. Like and follow for more DIY tutorials with IOD.